Togal is essentially a quantity takeoff tool that is modernizing how people do quantity takeoffs. However, we have a lot of AI features inside Togal that takes the takeoff process to the next level. I like to call it takeoff 2.0, that is very high level for Togal. Again, we are really doing takeoffs in a new way, modern interface, and modern workflows.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. What's up, everyone? Michael Hickman here, founder of PainterGrowth.com, and you're listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. And I have a exciting guest here today, actually in a software that I think is super cool, that I haven't tried out yet, but I have recommended it already, Togal.AI. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good, man. So you're co-founder of Togal?
Yeah, I'm founding member of Togal, exactly. Now I am working on the sales side. I run the sales team, but I've been in Togal again, day -1, if you want to call it. I worked with the technical team, product team, customer success, customer support. But recently, which is like 5.5 months ago, I was asked by my CEO to run the sales team. So now I'm running.
Okay, awesome, man. And I mean, just like tell me about your background. How'd you get into? So for everyone listening, why don't you give a 30-second overview of what Togal is, and then we can get into your story.
Sure. So Togal is essentially a quantity takeoff tool that is modernizing how people do quantity takeoffs. However, we have a lot of AI features inside Togal that takes the takeoff process to the next level. I like to call it takeoff 2.0, that is very high level for Togal. Again, we are really doing takeoffs in a new way, modern interface, and modern workflows. So this is Togal. About myself,
actually, one second. I'll just just to clarify, what Togal does is if you're doing a painting takeoff or any kind of takeoff, you can upload the blueprints into Togal, and it'll automatically calculate materials and square footage and quantities and all of this stuff. And then you have an AI tool. I was looking at this before our call today. You have an AI tool where you can essentially ask it to do anything. Create a painting estimate for this person and put in these prices, and then it'll just like create the proposal based on AI from the takeoffs.
Definitely, that's one of the features that we have. It's called the Togal Chat, where you can chat with the tool based on your documents. So it will only answer questions based on your documents. So that's one.
Do you use a ChatGPT plugin for that?
We have actually an API with Microsoft for that feature, and then we took their API and then we built an agent around it to not allow it to answer questions from the internet. You don't want somebody to like write a poem for me in Snoop Dogg's tone, and then
exactly. Yeah, there's a term for that, because I'm just learning a lot about ChatGPT right now. There's like a 3-digit term for that. Anyway,
agents or not agents?
Anyway, not a big deal.
Okay.
So how did you get started in software to begin with?
That's a good question, because I am not a software person. I'm not a salesperson too. So I'm originally from Lebanon. And in Lebanon, I had two engineering degrees, a civil engineering degree and an industrial engineering degree.
So you know how to do takeoffs.
Yes, exactly. But what happened is that I worked in construction also in Lebanon for like 6 years. But then I got fed up. I wanted to leave the country. I wanted to come to the States. This is the land of opportunities, which it is actually. So I came here. I got a scholarship to study at the University of Miami. I got the scholarship from Lebanon to study at the University of Miami, and I did my MBA. While I was doing my MBA, I joined the pre-construction team of the biggest construction company in Florida right now, called Coastal Construction. And while working in Coastal, one of the youngest brothers, which is our CEO right now, Patrick Murphy, who was an ex-congressman, came back to the business. He wanted to bring AI to the industry. I was talking to his older brother, who runs Precon. I was like, look, I think there is something we can do with AI on takeoffs. And we just started a company. Now we are a separate company, a separate set of investors. separate board of directors too. This is how I end up in construction technology. I am a pure construction person. I was an assistant superintendent, then I worked in pre-con, and now I work in
I mean,
construction.
I think that's kind of an important skill set to have in this type of company.
Sure.
You need to understand what the contractor actually goes through and how they're going to be using the tool,
Yeah.
not just from the tech side.
100%. What do they feel day to day? What do they like? Do they like to handle their mouse while they are drinking coffee? All these things make a big difference when it comes to how the user will interact with the tool at the end
Hmm.
of the day.
So with Togal, I mean, I understand what the software kind of is and what is capable of right now, and I want to get into that a bit more. But what was the problem that you guys set to solve?
Yeah, sure. So estimators in, like, again, I work in general contractors, so maybe I didn't work with painting subcontractors, but I think it's very similar. Estimators spend 50 to 70% of the time doing takeoffs. And when I say by doing takeoffs, is not the part where they need to think about what is this space, what is that wall, is the coloring and tracing. And we said there is a way to not make people color and trace. This is what we wanted to remove. So one thing we do, for example,
When you
Mike,
talk about it like that, it seems like so old school.
it is old school, like literally, like
Yeah.
if you see the tools that people are currently using, they were like created in 1994, 1998. Not a lot of enhancements, not a lot of improvements on the interface, on the workflow. So it is a thing. So one thing again to emphasize on this, Mike, when we are selling, we tell people, look, when you're gonna buy Toggle, you're not gonna like spend like $3,000 and then fire all your estimating team. That's not what's gonna happen. Okay, what's going to happen is that you're going to be not coloring and tracing. Your estimator will spend time on understanding the project, building relationship in case of painters with contractors, understanding where we can provide value engineering, instead of spending the time coloring and tracing. Spending the time on high value tasks rather than coloring and
Mm.
this
So
is
I have a client in Calgary, and he runs a good business, a couple $100,000 per month, and mostly commercial work. And so
Mhm.
he has a full-time staff,
Yes,
80,000 a year, who does takeoffs and relationship building,
sure.
right? And so my understanding is that he spends a majority of his time doing the takeoffs, like 80% time doing takeoffs, 20% time, relationship building and finding more takeoffs. So
Yeah,
how, I think I can't remember who said it, but someone said, or maybe it's Warren Buffett, AI is not going to take your job. The person who uses AI is going to take your job.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So
So how would that person in that use case utilize Togal?
that person would basically whatever tool they will use, they have to ditch it, and then they will have to spend time on Toggle, learn it for a week. Our interface is very simple. Again, one of the things we are so proud of is our user interface. You can learn the tool in literally 2 3 hours and then become proficient on it in 5 days. Um, and from there, they will directly feel that they were doing less coloring and tracing. They are making decisions on what is this wall, what is that wall, and then they have more time to build relationships.
So it's not quite a completely upload it in and have a quote out. There's still a little bit of human input.
There is still a human input. And again, when we started this mic, we were a little bit naive. Like Patrick Murphy and myself are construction people. We didn't know anything about technology, right? We started this, we hired very smart software engineers. But when we started this, we thought we will be like able to like one click of a button and we live in Miami, so we'll go to Miami Beach and sit on the sand. This is what we really thought. But eventually, after 3 years, again, the company has been around for 5 years now, but we've been only selling for a year and 8 months, around 2 years, you want to say.
3 years of
So
development. That's
3 years
long.
of, we gathered more than 100,000 floor plans, Mike, not drawings, floor plans. And then we built a labeling team to label everything on the drawing. This is a door, this is a window, this is a wall. Like we have spent a lot of money on the data set itself, which is
Mhm.
very proprietary. You cannot go on the internet and like if you are building an AI tool now that recognizes photographic images, it's very simple. You can go on the internet and download like 7, 8 million pictures that are labeled with maybe more than 80 labels.
Yep.
But when it comes to construction or technical drawings, there isn't any publicly available data set. You see? So we built this data set by ourselves for 3 years, trained models to make them very good. and then we went to market like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Have you tried have you tried recently to upload a technical drawing into ChatGPT to see how it could do?
we try all the time. There are some interesting things again that we learn and then we implement it in our Toggle chat, right?
Yeah.
Currently, the Chat GPT or the Toggle chat are very powerful when it comes to text information, Mike. If there is information that are in the drawing but in written in text format or in a table on a schedule, we still haven't found the strong use case for visual type of interactions.
Mhm.
But yeah, we do. But again, the output depends heavily on the drawing, and
Yeah.
this is a point I like to make all the time. You can take a Tesla, put it on autopilot in Atlanta and streets of Atlanta, and it will work perfectly. Take it to Beirut, Lebanon, you will crash in 2 minutes. I can bet you. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is the substrate where this AI model is being used on is very important. And I tell people if the drawing a human cannot understand anything out of it, it's very tough for the machine to understand something from it. So the output heavily depends on the drawing.
What do you think the what do you think Toggle's best feature is right now?
Uh, so over time, obviously, my favorite feature has changed, but now my favorite feature, there is two. Uh, there is now I'm thinking about it, there is even more. But I'll tell you the recent feature that our clients are sending us so much love because of it is called our collaboration feature. Really, really, Mike, we are the only takeoff tool on the globe right now. It's a big, bold statement I'm making that we're doing collaboration in the way we are doing it right now. Multiple estimators can do takeoffs in real time on the same drawing instantaneously. Okay, so this is a fairly new feature, a year ago built. But on the AI side, my favorite feature is like wall perimeters, to be honest with you, because like you can get areas for walls very, very quickly. We get the center line of the walls. We also get the perimeters of the walls. This, I think, my favorite tool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you the opposite question. Maybe you
Yes.
don't want to answer this, but you have to. Where do you think is Toggle's biggest weakness still that you guys have the most room for development on?
Yeah, I actually know, and we are working on that. For specific trades, not painting, I would say for concrete and for flooring, these trades require a lot of depth in the takeoff. Like for example, when you do a concrete takeoff, when you find, let's say, the volume of a footing or a foundation, it's not enough to find the volume of the foundation. You need to find the number of rebars on the top section and the number of rebars on the bottom section in this way and in that way. There is something in takeoffs called assemblies, and we don't have assemblies. We
Hmm.
are building assemblies this year for flooring, flooring, concrete drywall, and paint. Painters, we are 95% of what they need is already provided by Toggle. There are some nuances that different painters require because commercial painters require things different from home building painters. This is what we are really focusing on this year is bringing assemblies. And
Hmm.
why I'm telling you this, Mike, is because we as Toggle we don't talk about pricing. We don't have an estimating module in Togal. We want to become the best quantity takeoff period in the world, takeoff tool in the world. Period. Okay, uh, but we want to have Toggle be able to talk to different estimating tools because there is a lot of estimating tools now popping up in the market that are web-based, very modern, not Excel anymore. But they are focused on estimating because like pricing is very custom tailored. A painter does pricing and estimating different than a drywaller. But a painter in this city also does it in different than a painter in another city. You see, so estimating is a very nuanced type of a process. So what we are trying to do, whatever estimating tool is coming up into the market, we are trying to talk to them and try to build a connection where Toggle talks to their estimating tool. So if you like to use estimating tool 1 or estimating tool 2, we want you to always like to use Toggle, but Toggle will talk to them. And this is why I say we are focused on takeoffs. We know that there is a lot of room of improvements purely in how people do takeoffs.
So when you say focus on takeoffs, just like for clarity, That
Yes.
means specifically on getting material lists
Yes, material list and quantities.
and
We don't
quantities.
get into putting the price and things like that. You see,
Yeah, I
labor.
mean, if you're a drywaller and you understand that you need 481 sheets of drywall, you can pretty much find your price pretty easily.
For sure, but also drywall. Yeah, exactly. But then drywall, they tell you, okay, you find me the length and the area of the wall. I need the number of studs. So
Yeah.
you need to have to put a
Mm.
meter for, how far are the studs? What is the spacing of the studs? 16-inch on center, things like that. That again, they are not technically hard to build, but it's a workflow that you need to build. You
Then
see?
also it depends, are they wood studs or are they steel studs? And like that'll determine
Yeah,
what types of fasteners you use. And
exactly. This
okay.
is the biggest weakness of Toggle. Based on our strategy on becoming the best takeoff tool in the world, we need those things in Toggle to be able to say that very, very confidently. Now we don't have those.
Hmm. Okay. So you said that there's still some human decision. So let's just focus on painting since that's the most people who are listening to this one.
Sure.
Um, so walk me through. You upload, say I got to take off from a GC. It's like, here you
Yeah.
go. Please quote all the painting scope in this project. And so you upload it into Togal.
You
Okay.
upload the drawings to
What
Toggle.
next?
Exactly. We have a feature in Toggle where you can automatically rename all your drawings. You don't need to rename them one by one. So you can do that. You can share the drawings with everybody on your team instantaneously, like in Google Sheet or Google Doc, you can share. And then you do the takeoff. You find the scale. We also find the scale for you, but we always give you a warning because in my estimating life, Mike, I've seen 3 people getting fired because they put the wrong scale or they didn't check a wrong scale that was on the drawing. And
That's an important factor. Yeah.
exactly, very important. We predict the scale for you. We tell you please check it, draw dimension line, and then you just click the toggle button, which is the green button. You click it, we will give you the we draw all the paint like we will draw all the wall elements for you. Now this room, let's say, have paint type 1. You just right click and call it paint type 1, and then you put the height. Paint type 2, paint type 3,
If it
and
one second, stopping right there. If it has like Benjamin Moore or whatever type spec in the materials list on the back, will it bring that in and say paint type 1 is Benjamin Moore and whatever?
it won't, but what it can do, the toggle chat, the GBT thing that I told you, how painters are utilizing it. You have, let's say, a big project with, let's say, 300 drawings in it. You ask it, list for me all the paint type that are requested in this project and give me links to where you found this information.
Oh
So
wow.
now you will have a list of all the type of paints, and then you have a link. You click on it, it opens a new tab, and it shows you where on the drawing it found it from, so you can know which piece of the project gets this type of paint.
Do you have like sample prompts? Like I feel like having those prompts available for painters on like what they should be asking, because like
Yes. We are working
90% of
on
using
that.
ChatGPT is like figuring out what to ask it.
Yeah, we didn't think that this would be a problem. Now we are working on that, Mike, because people sometimes you have to prompt it correctly, right? Like,
Yeah.
give me a list of this in this way for
Yeah.
this project. So we are building a list of prompts
Yeah. Like
for
as a fairly avid ChatGPT user, I'm getting better at asking it
the
prompts,
prompts.
but
Yeah,
even now it's like there's you need to be creative in order to use it
yeah,
properly.
definitely creative. Yeah. Now the biggest prompters of Token is my sales team because every time they meet a new type of client, they ask them what they do, and then they came up with prompts. But we are building, yes, like built-in prompts based on the
Mhm.
trade of the client. That is a
And can
Token.
you like maybe you can look at what prompts painters are actually using and then provide and see if there's
Promoting
any.
them to other people. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
track all the prompts that people are asking it.
We see what people like ask it, and sometimes people also what we learned, again, maybe not very relevant, but what we learned also, people, even though we have a help center in Toggle, Mike, where you can go learn everything about Toggle on the platform. You don't need to like go search for it. People ask the Toggle chat questions about help. So now we are integrating our help center with the Toggle.
Mm,
So many things, I'm telling you. I thought building a software is something that is easy. It's not at all.
yeah, makes sense.
It's not at all.
Definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what next in the process of uploading it? You upload it, you hit the toggle button, and then what else?
You hit the toggle button. We call it, you reassign the output of toggle. We draw the, let's say, this the walls of this room for you. You just assign it. You assign it a type of a paint you want, and then from there is two ways you can go. If you want to share the information externally, you can export an Excel file or PDFs. Or if you want to share the information internally, you can just invite a colleague and they will get access to all your takeoff again
How
with
long does
around.
it take once you hit the toggle button to get your materials list and quantities?
It definitely depends on the drawing size, right? But we have painters coming to us telling us that we save them between 50 to 70% of the time.
Okay. So if you just have like a project, say it's not huge, maybe it's painting the inside of a Best Buy or something like that. Maybe there's 50
Sure.
pages on there. How long would that take to complete once you hit toggle?
Uh, I'll give you an example. So let's say it takes you, if usually manually takes you, if it's a small project, takes you manually 10 or 15 minutes by hand to make it, draw it by hand. Toggle will give you the output in like 10 or 15 seconds. You have
Mhm.
to spend maybe a minute or minute and a half reassigning.
They assign Toggle assigns tasks for you, asks you some questions.
It won't ask you for questions. It will draw the walls for you. It will draw every wall that gets paint on it, and then you call it, let's say, Benjamin Moore type 5 or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
With a very nice interface. Again, the most important thing is the interface, very
Yeah,
user friendly, very easy.
yeah, and also not missing things. That's probably the biggest cost in
Sure. Yeah,
projects is
that's
just
true.
missing things in scope.
That is true too. That's another thing that, like, again, it's a mindset shift a little bit when it comes to Toggle. Uh, Toggle will draw all the works for you. Again, that's what I said in the beginning. There's still an artistic piece of what the estimator does. Some walls maybe are out of the scope, or some walls you don't care about them for now. You don't need to delete them and spend time like adjusting them. You just rename the walls that you care about and hide the walls that Toggle gave you. And then
Mhm.
if later on in the future you realize, oh, I need this wall, you can turn it on, rename it, and keep using it.
So for a 75% time saving or so is kind of what you said. So if something would typically take like a big one would take someone 8 hours, maybe it only takes two
2 hours, 1 hour, hopefully, exactly, something like that.
once you get
Again,
better at it.
there is two things, Mike. There is two concerns. If we uh, if we preach that you're going to click a button and go to South Beach and sit on the sand, there's two concerns. One, there's the concern of the estimator who thinks that this AI will replace their job, which will not. Okay, I'm being very blunt. And there is the concern of the manager. The manager is so concerned. Managers over these years, I met a lot of them. They're so concerned of a junior estimator coming to their company and throwing the drawings in a black box that they don't know what the output is, and this black box gives them a magic number. So both things we are not doing. The control is still in the hand of the estimator. The estimator still has full control over the output. We're just giving them the output faster. This is the
Mhm.
point what we are doing. You
Yeah.
see?
I like that. For the expectation, it's not this is a completely hands-off approach, but this is a tool that's just going to increase efficiency so
Increasing
much more.
efficiency, productivity, exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of like if that estimator that I mentioned earlier is full-time 80K a year and then he's doing, you know, 8 takeoffs a week, if he can
Sure.
up that to 20 or 30 takeoffs a week.
Exactly. 100%. That's what we are preaching for, you see?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you get the materials list and the
Mhm.
quantities. What next?
Next, again, it depends on the company's processes. If, let's say, you use Excel for the pricing, you can copy these quantities, put them in Excel, and add a column, unit price, and get the total. Or if you use an estimating tool, you can now also uh, copy those quantities, input them in the estimating tool. As I said, we are working with estimating companies. So in the future, you don't need to copy paste in the estimating tool. You say, Toggle, sync my takeoff of this project, this revision, this floor plan to
Mhm.
this line item in the estimating tool. With one click of a button, it will sync.
Okay.
We are not there as an industry yet, but we are
Which
working.
tools are you working towards integrating with?
There are two that I can tell you that are already public. There is one, again, maybe for painters now, it won't be relevant. but one of them is called Beck Technology, and the other one is called um, Zebel. They are both estimating tools for general contractors.
Mm,
We haven't heard about paint specific estimating tools yet. If anybody on your podcast have ideas or they know any tools, please let us know. We are more than happy to reach out to those tools and see if we can come up with an integration to make both tools talk to each
cool.
other.
Yeah, there's a few. I'm blanking on them right now. I'm just blanking on the names of them, but I'll get back to you on that.
Yes, please, please, we
Yeah.
would love to.
Okay.
We'd love to.
So you get so essentially right now where Toggle's job kind of stops is shortening that length between understanding the scope of the project, getting using a little bit of human interaction to answer some questions or to finalize things and getting your materials and your quantities.
Sure. Yes,
Cool.
exactly.
And then you go and you do a quote. Now, you said with the chat plugin,
Yes.
at least I saw on I can't remember if it was on the website or somewhere, but you can ask it to create a proposal based on the quantities and
Yes.
materials. So what does that functionality look like right now? Because creating the proposal and creating the customer facing proposal is kind of like the next step.
Yes, exactly. So what you can do, like as similar to ChatGPT, right? You can say draft an email for me, and then you take that email and then you change a little bit things in it, specific things in it. You can do the same thing again in Toggle. You can specify who is the client and things like that. And because we are using the same language model that OpenAI and Microsoft use, it will create a proposal email, and then you can copy that very easily from Toggle, put it wherever you want, and then make adjustments on it.
Hmm.
That's what it does. It's not again, um, it's not a proposal creation and sending tool. It's more of a, because we are using GPT, we can create a quick email or a
I
quick.
guess I guess so the question is probably wrong now that I've talked to you for a little bit. That
Yes.
gets into scope creep a little bit, right? You're trying to just be the best takeoff provider, right?
Yeah.
Efficiency there, not the best proposal maker and email
Yeah.
sender.
Exactly. We are not exactly,
Yeah.
but uh, going with the takeoff side, users need to know things about, for example, the specs and the project quickly to complete their takeoffs. This is why we incorporated the GPT feature in Togal.
So what is the what is the cost right now of Toggle?
Yes, it is $3,000 per user per year.
Okay, so it's like 250 bucks a month kind of thing.
$150 a month, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's not too bad. And then that is, yeah, if that can create even a little bit of efficiencies, then that
Sure.
really makes sense. Do you have to commit for a full year, or can you just go month to month to try it out?
You have to commit for a full year, but you can pay monthly.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yep, yep, yep. And the
Wh-
reason for now, Mike, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have
Nope.
never heard a lot of like pushback on the price because really it's $250 per month. As you said, if we save you literally 4 hours a day in 3 days, it pays for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the future of the product, like what are the future releases and what is kind of the direction of your product over the next, 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, assemblies is what we are focusing on right now. This is one. We are always coming up with new tools for the AI. We recently came up with a tool called Pattern Search. It's very powerful tool, but it's still in beta now. We're only showing it to clients, not to potential clients. That's that. Uh, a very important tool that I think the industry has not been used to it in takeoffs is versioning, version history. A lot of people might sometimes, you have somebody on your team change the takeoff and you want to go back 2 hours before or 2 days before. You see, we are coming with this tool now. You can say, show me who did what last time. Stop, give me a copy of this for now and take me back into the past for like 3, 4 days. Um, it's very powerful in case people delete things by mistake, and it's very powerful if somebody changes something and then you wanted to come back to it.
Kind of like how Google
Um,
Drives does the track changes.
exactly, 100%. We are really being a lot how they're influenced by Google because they are the masters of
Yeah.
collaboration, and we are learning so much from them.
Yeah,
Um,
you need to, what did they say? Stand on the shoulders of giants.
Oh yeah, exactly, exactly. Another thing we are working on, which is again might be big for painters, is um, wall tags. Like we will find tags on walls. It's more of a tool for drywall companies. because there is the tag on the wall that is connected to the wall, sometimes by an arrow, sometimes it's not connected by anything. We want to be able to find the wall tags for users. Like instead of you having to put that uh, it is paint type 1, we will directly put it for you. This is the next step, you see. I think
Yeah.
this would be another 6 to 9 months down the road, but in software, because we're building new software, sometimes things can be unpredictable.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that'd be pretty valuable. But I mean, even a workaround on that right now is just creating those quick
Yeah,
prompts.
no, for sure, for sure.
Just have those prompts for the contractor or the estimator to put in, and just quick chat GPT prompts will get that instead of it being automatic.
Exactly. And again, for many reasons, but one reason I know, which is one of our tools, we have like brought in the last 3 months more than 40 painters to Toggle. We never thought about it. Again, in the beginning, we started with general contractors. This is 70% of our client base. But now painters they just see the value from it very quickly, just because what we give them with AI like suits exactly what they want. You see, for example, general contractors, sometimes they are doing takeoffs for cabinetry, and the AI doesn't have takeoff for cabinetry. But for painters, whatever we do hits exactly what they do manually. See,
For sure.
why it brings a lot of value for painting companies.
Yeah. One thing I like to do on these podcasts, and I didn't prompt you on this on the start, and so I like to put all of our guests who come on with a software or product on
Mm-hmm.
the spot a little bit. So
Okay.
for everyone, for the listeners who
Right.
made it all the way to the end of this podcast, what
Okay.
kind of special offer can you provide them?
For people on your podcast,
Who only for the people who listen all the way to the end here. What can you offer them?
okay, sure. So that's that's funny. I didn't think about it. Obviously, you didn't prompt me on this. Um, so anybody who says that they came from Mike, we can offer you 15% discount for the first year.
Wow, awesome. That's big. Thank you.
It's big. So, oh, of course, thank you for having us too. But you definitely put me on the spot. I thought you were gonna ask me to recommend a software that I use. Uh, that's
Um,
what my brain.
yeah, no, I like to do that just because give people a chance to come on here and let us know what they do. And
Yeah.
for
Sure.
the diehards who listen all the way in, I like to give them a little something.
Yes,
So
definitely.
how can people reach out to you and get started, Johnny?
So either I think the best case, either you can go to our website www.toggle.ai and you can schedule a demo, or you can reach out to sales@toggle.ai and somebody will reply to your email very quickly and try to set up a demo for you.
Okay, we'll put that information below in the chat or in the description below the episode or wherever you're watching it. And yeah, I think if anyone is doing takeoffs or running commercial or looking to get into commercial in a bigger way,
Yeah,
this would be it would be kind of silly not to do it. Like, okay, it seems, for a software, you look at 3K and you're like, oh, that feels like a lot, but for the value that it provides, I think it will make up for itself very quickly in the first job.
yeah, we hope so too.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, and that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we
Thank
had you on.
you so much, Mike. Yeah, it was a lot of fun for me as well.
Cool. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.